Okay, so I'll be playing this game, cool game called Starsector. Being a good game as it is, there is a learning curve. So let's get started. We'll go into new game. And I'll pick a random face to be. Yeah, how about that guy? And we'll generate a random name. Fourth Takahashi. Sure, why not? And I'm going to do a random sector registry ID, which is basically just how the universe is going to be set up. So continue. I will be a bounty hunter commanding a wolf class frigate. That'll be fun. Yeah. In addition, my fleet includes a shepherd class drone tender, some heavy machinery. That'll be useful. I'll keep the difficulty at normal, and I will certainly skip the tutorial since I kind of know what I'm doing. I can give myself a few character points here, but I'm going to do that a wee bit later. Start the game, and of course the game generates the sector that I'll be playing in, and it goes through dates, kind of giving a little bit of history, some context for me to play in. Then I will start in the Corvus system, right next to the Jangla world, owned by the Hegemony faction. So here's the main screen. My tiny little meager fleet. Here we have the Wolf class frigate, the Shepherd drone tender. Again, quite small compared to the other fleets out there. The Hegemony, being one of the larger factions, tends to have larger fleets, I would guess. Although sometimes smaller fleets as well. Yeah. Down here is the information screen. We've got this little mini map on the right, UI on the left, money, how many supplies I have, how quickly my fleet is burning through supplies to keep up maintenance, fuel for use in hyperspace, my speed, because right now 0, I'm not moving, my combat readiness, which is kind of a complex mechanic, so I won't be going into that right now. Of course, the armor hull rating of my ships, if they're damaged, that'll show up here. They're not, 100%. How far my sensor range is, and how far I can be detected, which right now is quite large because I've got the transponder on. A giant beacon telling everyone around me where I am and who I am. Of course, this little toolbar here is full of all the abilities, transponder being one of them. If I want to be sneaky, I can go dark. If I want to increase my sensor strength, I can do an active burst. If I'm being chased down by pirates who are a lot faster than me, I can do an emergency burn. And if I'm just traveling from place to place, I can turn on the sustained burn. And if I find myself in the middle of a debris field, I can try to scavenge it for supplies. And if I'm trying to hunt down some pirates that are a little bit faster than me, I can use an interdiction pulse to kind of slow them down a little bit. And if I'm out in the middle of nowhere without any fuel or supplies, I can use a distress call. Yep, these are the abilities. They're fun to use. Yeah, so let's get started. Again, Corvus sector. Again, the mini map. We have the Hegemony faction controlling this world, an independent faction down here, and a little pirate base over here. Usually when the game starts out, it starts out with some bounties in the system you spawn in this case Corvus. So if I wanted to, I could hunt down some of those pirate ships and kind of gain some money by blowing them out of the sky. Now in my case, I'd have to be very careful doing that because my fleet is quite small. But first what I'm going to do is I'm going to visit this planet here, Jangla, and see if I can't find any useful armaments for my ships. So under the refit screen, I can see my little Wolf class frigate. It's armed with a pulse laser, some Swarmer SRMs, ion cannon, and some point defense lasers. For the most part, in my opinion, they're kind of useless. I mean, they do have their function, but for now I'm going to see if the open market doesn't have anything better I can use, which it does not. You can buy and sell in the open market. It's legal. The catch is you get charged a hefty tariff, which sucks. Same thing with the military market. The black market, however, there is no tariff because you're smuggling stuff in and out. The downside is if you use the black market too much, the local governing authorities might get annoyed. But there's nothing here really for me to quickly equip on my ships, so I am going to leave. Go into the map and I'm going to set a course for this little pirate orbital station, and when I get there I will see what kind of pirate fleets there are that I can destroy. This being an early game, there's probably going to be some fleets there that I can take, but yeah, so let's take a look. Sustain burn on, and I begin my journey. Okay, so looking around, I see that there was a little fleet headed over here. Since I couldn't easily identify it, it's obviously running with its transponder off. Usually renegades and pirates tend to do that. So I'm going to turn my sustained burn off for the moment to give me a little bit more maneuvering room. And of course that fleet should easily be able to identify me. I can't identify it. Based off of how large these little unknown triangles are, the fleet might be a little bit larger than I would like. Not as such. I see 3 ships here. They're pretty weak and meager. There are 3 of them though. I do recognize 2 of these as being hounds, the other one being a mud skipper. The mud skipper is, you know, trash. The hounds are almost trash. They're pretty quick though, so I'm going to be a huge jerk and do this thing called save scumming. Ha! And then I'm going to engage the fleet. Pretty sure I'd be able to take them. Unfortunately, this other fleet popped up here. It is close enough that it can support the pirate fleet that's attacking me. So instead of dealing with the 3 ships I was expecting, I'm dealing with this other fleet as well, as it reinforces. This is definitely not a battle I think I can win, but it'll be a fun challenge. And I'm assuming you guys are all bored, so maybe watching me get myself blown up will be a little bit fun. I'm going to switch to my Swarm or SRMs under my direct control. That way the AI can fire off all the other guns. Yeah, this is not going to end well. Oh, hello. Gotta get the right firing arc. Ooh, yeah, he looks like he's hurting. You can see his hull is going down. Yeah, this guy's toast. Unless, of course, he runs away, in which case he's not toast. And this is gonna hurt. That EMP missile hit me right in the rear, disabled my engines. I can't even move. Okay, now I can move. Shields up, and he's toast. Shields up again. Now all the armor on the rear of my ship is gone, so any hits that I take in the rear is going to take away from the hull points. And of course, when the hull points are all gone, they blow up. Fire missiles! Okay, that guy's gone. Okay, so the armor in the front of his ship is failing, so he's taking hull damage. And he's about toast. Gonna vent all my flux. Flux is generated when your shields take hits. It's also generated when you use your weapons. Oh, that was painful. Well, that was unfortunate. unfortunate, I suppose, the way I hit that guy. Oh, that's painful. Yeah, the modified mud skipper, it is a piece of trash, but it can wield a very strong gun. Oh, that was painful. One more ship down. There are only 2 of them left. Looks like there's only 2 of them left. I have done quite well for myself, I think. Yeah, the drones from the drone tenders are just harassing this guy pretty good. Yeah, the drones don't do much. They're really good for point defense, taking out missiles, maybe intercepting some fighters. As for actually doing serious damage to anything larger, they're really just good for harassment, which I'll take. Fire missiles! Gonna lower my shield so I can vent some of this flux. If your shields are up and your flux level is high, you run the risk of overloading your ship, which leaves you defenseless. You can't fire, you can't use your shields. Any enemy ship can come in and just wreak havoc. Looks like he lost his thrusters, so I am going to move in and take advantage of that. And he's gone. Oh, I won the battle. Nice. 6 on 2 and I win. Yeah! So if I want, I can see if there's any ships that I can recover. There are, but I don't want that because that's trash. So I'll continue, and I'm going to pick through all this wreckage and see what I can find. Supplies. I'll need the supplies to recover my ships. In battle, they lose combat readiness. The supplies will replenish all that. See, I can't carry too much fuel. Heavy machinery, scrap metal. All that scrap metal took up all the space in my storage, so I'm gonna steal these more valuable weapons first, and anything that's left, scrap metal. Yeah. So now I'm gonna head back to port and sell off all the stuff that I just salvaged from those wrecks. Yeah, I suppose combat readiness is just kind of an abstraction to show how well maintained your ships are. Battle tends to, degrade your ships over time, and after battle you'll need to use all the supplies to kind of get your ships back up into peak perfect working order. Yeah, you don't get too much for selling stuff, and of course here's that lovely tariff I mentioned from buying on the open market. Okay, so for the time being, what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue kind of going over that pirate station, seeing what fleets I can raid, blow them up, get some nice bounty from the locals here, and kind of see if I can't get my credit state up to a better amount. Maybe buy another ship or 2, get my fleet looking better, and then I might try doing some other fun things. Don't want to bore you guys, so I'll skip ahead a bit. Okay, so it looks like my prospects here in this system have, for the most part, dried up. I'm gonna pause the game for a moment. Yeah, not too many pirates left to destroy and take bounty from, so I'm going to have to find revenue elsewhere. Now I did notice in the tab on the left, it looked like a mission came up. In the Intel tab you can click on missions and see all the cool things that have come up. In this case, there's a mission to analyze a domain era probe. Fun! In the game we've got the core worlds, Corvus being kind of sort of on the southeast part of the core worlds. Everything outside of the core worlds is just not so much barren, but more unexplored areas. You could find ruins, derelicts, wrecks, hidden things, dangerous things, good things for taking, lots of good stuff. And oftentimes there'll be missions out into the middle of nowhere to do trivial things, scan a planet, do some surveys, scan a derelict, in this case, a derelict. These ones are pretty easy to do. You just go in, find it, scan it, and get a whole lot of money. So in this case, that's what I'm going to do. Let's see, so what is this? The probe is orbiting a rocky, unstable world in the beta new pariah system. Lots of money, long time to complete. I think I'll accept that. The only caveat is just making sure I've got enough fuel and supplies to make the journey, which really shouldn't be a problem. I'll need like 300 for the trip there and back, give or take. I'll accept. Let's see, if you don't do the mission, the faction will not like you. Makes sense. How much fuel do I have? Yeah, I'm going to need to purchase more fuel. Now, while I was out, I did increase my fleet a little bit, put in a small little freighter and a fuel tanker. Trade goods. Let's see, perhaps I will purchase from the black market. Some of the ships I bought already did come from the black market, so my suspicion level is rather high. So maybe I'll just go back to buying from the open market. Okay, that should be plenty enough to get me there and back. I'll confirm. Yeah, so I got the fuel. I might take a few more supplies. Just in case. Couldn't hurt. Okay, got my supplies, got my fuel. And now it's time to head out into hyperspace. Here's a jump point. There's another one way out here in the fringe. But whatever, I'll take the closer one. Set a course. Got sustained burn on, and we are out of here. Now it looks like there are some hostile fleets on the other side of the jump point. I don't know exactly where they are, just that they're there. But let's jump anyways. They probably won't take too much issue with me. Yeah, we don't know who that is. Probably a pirate, maybe. Or it could just be a smuggler neutral fleet doing whatever it is that it does. Yeah, smuggler. Yes, we've entered hyperspace. Kind of go on the map. The map does, of course, doesn't quite show you where all the missions are or aren't, so I'll go in the Intel tab. I've got the mission selected, it tells me where to go. That's the Beta New Pariah system. Beta New Pariah, correct. I'll right click to set a course. Okay, and now we are off. Yeah, you don't use fuel except for hyperspace travels. And entering hyperspace, you got normal space, you got these clouds of like deep hyperspace. And of course the storms. As much as you're able to, you might want to avoid the storms. If you can. And now that I'm in the middle of nowhere, I'm going to turn the transponder off. Mostly because I don't want to attract any unnecessary attention. It looks like I might be able to squeeze in through here. But I don't know, that would be kind of a tight squeeze. Ooh, made it. And I'll usually toggle the sustained burn on and off in order to give myself a little bit more maneuvering ability. Yeah, we're passing by 3 star systems here. Probably return and explore them out a little bit in time. Looks like another storm's gonna pop up right over there. Yeah, going through storms runs the risk of damaging your ships, and damaged ships will require supplies to repair. So if you just kind of blatantly run through storms, it could cost you a lot in supplies. I mean, if you're filthy rich, then yeah, sure, go ahead, why not? But this being the very beginnings of the game, I am not filthy rich. Ooh, a distress call. Could be a legitimate distress call. It could be pirates lying in wait for fools like me who are, you know, do good things. For now, I'm going to ignore it. Yeah, I know, I'm a huge jerk. So this is the system in question. Order a jump to the beta, new pariah star system. Yes, please. Ooh, lots of stuff. Ooh, look at that, a Terran world. Ooh, I'm totally gonna have to check that out. In the late game, you can set up colonies yourself, and Terran worlds are usually considered one of the better places to look. Potentially, they have better stats. And it's right here too. Let's take a look. Unknown, it's probably a derelict ship. Let's see if I can even perform the survey. No, I'm going to need more crew. Got enough heavy machinery to do the job, but I don't have the personnel to do the job. Preliminary survey shows that it's got a very, very low hazard rating. I think the lowest absolutely possible is 50. But that's extremely rare. Even this is rare. Usually there's, you know, something on the planet that kind of bumps up the hazard rating a bit. So potentially this could be a really good world to settle on when it's time, depending on whether or not it's got ores, rare ores, depending on the farmland. If it's got volatiles, that'd be nice. And ruins would be convenient. Anyways, we'll come back to that later. In the meantime, let's check out this derelict over here. Oh, no, it's a probe. Not the probe we're looking for, but a probe nonetheless. Let's check that out. We'll explore a little bit. Derelict domain era survey ship location. That's cool, tinking around. There's some information here. And it didn't look like there were any automated defenses. Otherwise there'd be a prompt for a battle here. You receive preliminary assessment of potential salvage operations from the exploration crews. I need 100 crew to do the job well. I've only got 50. I need 30 machinery. I've got 37. So the effectiveness is going to be quite low since you don't quite have enough crew. But let's begin the salvage operations anyways. Let's see what we get. Not a whole lot, but that's okay. Getting all the supplies probably paid for the trip, at least in terms of supply use. Getting extra fuel is always nice too. Oh look, and it's split off into debris. Since there's significant risk here in running a salvage operation, there is a decent chance that I'll lose some crew members. I may lose a little bit of heavy machinery. I may not do either of those, but let's see what happens. Yeah, it was a safe. It was a good, successful run. Ooh, it's a lot of organics. Nice. I wonder why I didn't find that when we went through the probe. Confirm and continue. Now, of course, the debris field is still here. If you want, you can try again, but usually after the first, that bumps up the risk quite a lot. If I remember, the probe was orbiting a rocky, unstable world. So let's set a course and see what's there. Yep, a nice, fun journey out to the outer reaches of some random star system. Yep, and there it is. And we know it's that because it's got that yellow exclamation point. Ooh. Run the sensor package. Sweet, gained a whole bunch of cash. Excellent. And of course I can do what I did to the other one. Explore it, see what's there. No automated defenses, a little unusual. At least, I don't know, usually when I do these things there's always automated defenses. More organics, that's cool. Oh yeah, of course it's split off into a debris field. Of course there is still significant risk. Let's roll the dice. Okay, now that I performed the mission and got everything I wanted to get, I am going to head back home. And I'm sure you guys don't want to be bored with a boring trip back home, so I will pause here and fast forward later to when something more interesting happens. Okay, so now that I've given myself a nice bit of cash, I've been roaming the star systems, looking for different ships to buy. And in this case, I found the Tempest, one of my favorite ships. It's a frigate, it's small, tiny, agile, it's awesome, I love it. The downside in this case is this particular frigate is kind of defective, as noted by the two D mods here. Highlighting the question mark, I can see the hull mods at the bottom include the defective manufacturing and compromised armor. So that's gonna suck, but I'm still glad to have the Tempest, so I'm totally gonna buy that. Are you sure you want to buy it? Why, yes. Yes, I am. So now it's mine. Most likely I'll pilot the ship myself. Love using it. Again, fast, deadly, my favorite thing to do. And what's really cool is when you fly around, you know, the sectors, if you get like a whole bunch of them in your fleet, that's just way too much fun. So that's totally what I'm going to try to do. Maybe get a nice fleet of them, and then you know, get a nice fight, and we'll see what that looks like. Now I'm going to outfit it. This particular ship has 2 medium energy turret spots and a single small missile hardpoint. So I'm going to add some phase lances. And I'm going to add one of these. For me, it's mostly just a placer. It costs almost nothing to put on. It allows me to manually control it. That way the AI can control the phase lances. Gonna up the vents, the flux vents, as high as I can. Under the hull features and mods, I'm going to add the hardened subsystems. Mainly allows me to stay in the fight a little bit longer before the combat readiness starts to degrade wildly. And tempted to put the reinforced bulkheads on, that way if I do lose the ship, it'll most likely be recoverable. Also adds a good chunk of hit points to the hull as well, so that's always nice. And with the remainder, I'm just going to max out the capacitors, give me a much larger flux capacity. I can keep shooting and take hits on the shield a little bit more before I have to vent. Yeah, there's like a lot of cool things in the game, lots of little things, lots of little intricacies, lots of stuff to explain. Totally not going to explain it all right now. Anyways, I'm going to, I guess, adjust the weapons groups. That's a great idea. Phase lances are in group 1. Actually, I'll put it in group 2. And the group 2 is now the phase lances, and they're all on auto fire. Group 1 is the single missile, which I'll be able to control manually, and I'll just fly around and let the turrets do their thing. Cool. Okay, everything's cool here. And I'm going to go back and make sure I've got enough crew. Yeah, seen down here, now I have 70 crew. I need 60 to fly all the ships. Okay, cool. Cool. Now I'm good. And I'm gonna kind of visit the rest of the planets in the area, see if I can't find any more of those Tempests. And if I need to, I can always go out and take more missions and make more money for myself. Okay, so I've been roaming around the systems, checking out the markets, taking a few missions here and there to increase my credit count, and I believe I have found enough Tempests to do what I want to do. Again, one of my favorite ships that are way too much fun to use in combat. They just demolish other frigates left and right. They can hold their own pretty well against destroyers. And if you have enough of them, they can even go up against cruisers. But unfortunately, they are a wee bit small, and they don't quite have the firepower to really take on capital ships too much. So you're going to need heavier ships for that kind of work, but that's a little bit later in the game. So now that I have a few ships, these 3 little Tempests, the Wolf, the Shepherd drone frigate, which is probably going to get blown up, I'm okay with that. I am going to see if there's any decent bounties around, like this one. You can find bounties in the game, hunt down a fleet, blow it up, get a huge chunk of money for it. Yeah. These are the projected ships in the fleet, and the intel tells you perhaps sometimes where they're hidden. Sometimes it's vague, like in this case. Sometimes it's very specific, not in this case. So I am going to travel to the suggested system, which I'm going to guess is this one. See if I can't find this fleet and blow it out of the water, or the vacuum in this case. So yeah, I will set a course, and let's see what happens. Okay, so I've traveled to the red supergiant in question. Going to jump into the system and have a look around and see if we can't find that bounty to take advantage of. But first, which bounty was that? This one? Yeah, not too much time left, so I'll have to find it quickly. He will be near a volcanic world. Okay. Any volcanic worlds? There is a volcanic world, so chances are he'll be here. And of course I have my transponder off, so he won't know exactly who or what I am. And of course, since I'm a huge, huge jerk, there's nothing here. Did I get the wrong system? You were hiding out in your volcanic world in a system with a giant primary star, the Hayden Velasquez Nebula. Couldn't have meant a red dwarf. Do a sensor burst, see if it doesn't come up. It does not look like the fleet is here. How unusual. Perhaps the volcanic world is somewhere where I can't quite see it so easily. Oh yeah, don't want to do that. Oops, don't want to do that either. Show system info. Yeah, rocky metallic world, barren world, volcanic world. Well, either way, the bounty ended, so that's unfortunate. I do see it looks like there are other bounties around here. Yeah, taking on a pirate base might not be such a good idea. This one's also about to end. And this one is not too close by. Let's see if we can't get to... Oh, dang it. Well, here's the other bounty that was in the region. Well, let's see what I can't do with my small amount of tempests. Take out this hound first. It's unshielded, so it really shouldn't last too long. Let's get those turrets onto the auto fire. There we go. Yeah, see, I got 1-on-1, so that's not going to be much of a fight. This wolf against these three, I don't think the wolf's going to last. And us two against these three. Hopefully we'll be able to make a quick look at these ships and then get over to the other fights. But now they're coming over here. Yeah, despite how much I do like the Tempest, it does run rather hot. So you kind of come in, do your alpha strike, and you have to cool off a bit. Let's see if we can't take this guy out real quick. Ship to worry about. Yeah, the difficulty I find working with the wolves, they do have that little face skimmer so they can jump away real quick when they need to. And they are a fairly fast ship. Okay, what next? And the wolf is still around, nice. Maybe I can go over here and support the wolf. Ooh, getting sandwiched. Gonna see if I can't take out this kite when less ship to worry about. Okay, so these guys should come over to join us pretty soon. flux. Do love those little drones. Oh yeah, this guy's screwed. Yeah, take some of this. I think I'm going to go after this mule first. Yeah, so my frigate has been in combat a little bit too long. Which means my other support ships aren't going to be too far behind. Having been in combat so long, our combat readiness is going to start steadily dropping. So the incentive here is to end the battle quickly. And the only thing left is this little Venture cruiser down here. But between the four of us, I think we can take it pretty well. Yeah, when you start to lose your combat readiness at first, it's not critical, but as that number continues to decrease, eventually your ship will start to suffer malfunctions. First it'll be something minor, like a turret goes out, and then it'll take a few seconds to get back online again. Over time, the malfunctions become a bit more severe, like your engines will fail. And eventually, if your combat readiness reaches 0, well, you pretty much combat inept. You can't shoot, you can't use your shields anymore. All you can do is hope to get to the edge of the map and escape. This guy's finished. Okay, we did it. Ooh. Of course, our combat readiness has taken quite a dive in the process, but I'm okay with that. And we took out all these ships. We're going to get a nice bounty for it. I do not want to recover any of these garbage ships. And let's pick through the wreckage and see what we've got. A whole lot of supplies, a good chunk of fuel, some heavy machinery, scrap metal, guns, and a hull modification. That's cool. I made a good chunk of change there. So I'm going to go in the cargo screen and I'm going to learn this hull modification. Now I can install the heavy armor as a hull mod on my ships if I see fit. You know, hull features and mods, and there it is. Okay, that was fun. So I believe this video is getting a wee bit long. Don't want to take up too much of your time and bore you for too much. So I'll just give these little ending comments here. Eventually in the end game, you can kind of establish your own empire. You can set up colonies on different worlds. As you can see, I found a jewel of a system here. There was a Terran planet with a lot of good resources, a tundra world, habitable, also some decent resources. I even settled on this volcanic world. Not particularly easy for the inhabitants, but lots of raw resources to mine. Some heavy industries I created. As you kind of create your own little empire, you can create your own ships, whether they be the fighters for your ships, weapons for your ships, and just the actual ships themselves. Exploration is a large part of the game. As you venture out to the outer systems, that's where you can find little hull mods like the heavy armor mod we saw earlier. You can find blueprints to create your own ships. That's why here, some ships are here, most of them are not. These are just all the blueprints that I found. This was a find. Same thing with the weapons, you actually have to find the blueprints. Sometimes you can buy them in markets, but usually you'll find the blueprints buried in different hulks around the more uninhabited systems of the sector. There's mining outposts, research facilities, abandoned research facilities. I love those. You usually find great things in those. You can survey planets and find ruins. You might be able to find some cool things on that. Yeah. But yeah, in the end game, you kind of create your own little empire, and that creates problems of its own. Got my nice little fleet here. Still kept some of the Tempests. Have some cruisers, some tankers, some cruisers, capital ships, destroyers. So it is a, in my opinion, it's a nice fleet. It serves me well. But one of the downsides of roaming around and having your own empires, you do tend to attract hostile attention from the neighboring factions. So one of the neighboring factions sent these task forces to come, and I believe they were upset with the heavy industry on the world kind of competing with their heavy industries. So they sent these two fleets to come and put a stop to that. If they win the battle here, then my heavy industry will be disabled for at least a couple months, I think, which certainly don't want that. If I win the battle, then, well, I win. Nothing gets shut down. There's going to be a bunch of burning husks here, with debris fields I can sift through. But that's a lot of ships. And you can see all the capital ships at the front. Those are, yeah, I don't know how I'm going to win this battle, so that'll be fun. Yeah. So yeah, good things. Hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know if it sucks. Let me know if it doesn't suck. Yeah, and good luck. Holy goodness. Well, good luck to us all.